Hi friends, welcome back to our channel. In today's topic, we will explain you about test execution. Test execution. In this test execution phase, the system is run to check that the system behaves as expected in the scenarios defined in the test cases and test scenarios. Any deviation from the expected behavior is reported as a defect. Once the defect is fixed, the test cases are run again to make sure that the fix has resolved the problem identified in the defect report. Checklist for test execution phase. Checklist number 1. Availability of current versions of all relevant documents. Checklist number 2. Availability of existing test environment and test data support. Checklist number 3. The testing team should be provided a stable test environment. Checklist number 4. The software the team using should be upgraded to the latest release. Checklist number 5. Test cases and test data should be completed before test execution phase and should be signed off. Checklist number 6. Test environment should not be modified without prior intimation to the testing team. Checklist number 7. Issues identified during previous release should have been resolved in the current release. Checklist number 8. Test execution plan should be made available to all the stakeholders. And the last, checklist number 9. Prior to entry into test execution, an assessment should be conducted for readiness into the test execution phase. This would primarily include a sanity test, ensuring completeness of the test scripts and availability of test data. High-level steps performed during test execution. First, we need to execute the test cases in the respective test environment. Then, raise defects for those test cases that are failed during test execution. Then, collect and document the test results for entire list of test cases. Then, prepare test report for test execution phase. Then, perform causal analysis for all the failed test cases. Once the defects are fixed, retest the application using the failed test cases. Next question. Process for test execution workflow. It starts with signed off test cases from client. Then identify test data requirements. Prepare test data or receive test data from client. Then perform functional testing, record the test results, log the defects, then retest the defects that are fixed by development team, then perform regression testing, record the test results and log defects, retest the defects fixed by development team, review the test results and deliver the test results to client and all other stakeholders. Levels of testing. Unit testing. These tests verify that the system functions properly. For example, pressing a function key to complete an action. Integration testing. The system runs tasks that involve more than one application or database to verify that it performed the task accurately. System testing. These tests simulate operation of the entire system and verify that it can run correctly. Regression testing. These tests are used to ensure that system change or new development doesn't affect unchanged portion of the system. user acceptance testing. This is similar to real world test and usually done with the help of real users. Next question. Explain test cycle and test log. Test cycle means each execution of testing is referred as test cycle. Test execution may happen in multiple cycles, whereas test log is a simple worksheet or spreadsheet that records test activities in order to maintain control over the test. It includes the test ID, test activities, start and stop times, pass or fail results, and comments. You can maintain a separate log or can document these details in a test case itself along with the actual results. Log the incidents into the defect tracking system once a review determines it is actually a defect. Test result. After each test cycle, there will be a significant amount of information that comes out of the testing. This information is analyzed to validate test execution and to identify defects. This information can also be utilized for metrics gathering and trending, which will enable continuous improvements to the overall software testing process. Activities during test analysis phase are evaluate the test results, then if required re-execute test, then if required refine the test cases development procedure, then if required refine the test case execution procedure, then log the defects, then collect and analyze the metrics, and finally compare the actual results with the expected result. Defects. Based on the application behavior, for every test case executed, the actual results are compared with the expected result, and test logs are created for both passed and failed test cases. Defects have to be raised for the failed test cases. Traceability matrix. Once requirements are approved by the requirements stakeholders for the project, the traceability matrix will be created by the respective stakeholder. The development lead updates the traceability matrix to reflect requirements coverage in the design documents, technical specifications, and code. Whereas test analyst is responsible for updating the traceability matrix during test planning and preparation activities to confirm coverage of requirements via test conditions and test case. An updated traceability matrix that confirms requirements coverage by the technical team and the testing team is a critical entry criterion for system integration testing. During test execution, testers provide script tracking status. The test analyst compares the status to the requirements traceability matrix to confirm and report on the status of requirements coverage during test execution. Causal analysis. A test problem is a condition that exists within the software system that needs to be addressed. For every defect reported by the testing team, the development team has to perform a causal analysis as to how it is resolved. This exercise is important because carefully and completely documenting a test problem is the first step in correcting the problem. The following 4 attributes should be developed for all test problems. 1. Statement of condition. 2. Criteria. 3. Effort. And the last one is cause. Upon receiving the resolved defects in the next build, the testing team has to retest the defect to verify whether it has been fixed. We will share a detailed presentation on causal analysis shortly. Activities performed during retesting. Testing team will interact with the development team in various activities like explaining the defect to the development team, then ensure that the development team has signed off on all major fixes, then ensure that the development team maintains the defect status documentation in the respective defect management tool, then ensure availability of retest plan for each phase of the retesting, then plan for ad hoc testing, and then collect metrics after completion of retesting activity and document the same in the defect management tool. Test execution summary. At the end of test execution phase, we will have the test transactions that are used to validate the software system, the results from executing those tested transactions, and variances from expected results. Management reporting. Once all the test results have been analyzed, they would be presented to the management in a meaningful manner. Management should be able to make business decisions based upon the information provided in the report. Management reporting includes mapping of the defects to business requirement or technical requirement, then compare the test results with the acceptance criteria, and then prepare metrics and test summary report. Guidelines for report writing. Review drafts multiple times before releasing it to all stakeholders. Don't assign blame on any individual or team in the report. Stress the quality, that is, provide more information on quality of the project or product so that the stakeholders can take the call on decision making. Limit the number of pages and stress on important items alone. That is, reports should be in a short and prescribed manner. We should not provide information which will not make any sense to the stakeholders. Reports to be tailored to the requirements of the intended receivers. And finally, eliminate small problems that are not going to make any difference. Report. There are three types of reports prepared in a test project. 1. Interim test report, 2. Final test report, and 3. Project status report. Interim test report. Interim test report provide status of testing. They help in tracking the progress in completing the test plan, and they help by providing the defect list that are requiring corrective actions. Final test report. Final test report are designed for stakeholders who need to make decisions regarding the implementation of developed software. The final test report should indicate whether the software is complete and correct, and if not, which functions are not working. Final test report summarizes the final deliverables from a test, which includes test requirements, features that are covered and not covered during testing, metrics that are collected during the project, the issues and resolutions, means details of issues identified and resolved, defect log, and recommendations, that is, from testing team to the project manager or client on improving the tested software. Project status report. Project status report designed for both project team and senior management. Senior management includes information services management, user management or customer management, and organizational executive management. Project status report provides details on performance of the test in terms of schedules met, efforts expended, fault severity levels, etc. Major concerns raised during test execution. There are three types of major concerns. The first one is software not in a testable mode. That is, software not correctly installed or necessary functions are not installed before testing starts. The second major concern is inadequate time and or resource. When adequate time or resources are unavailable, management may still rely on the testers when they are unable to perform the test as expected. And the third major concern is significant problems will not be uncovered during testing. Metrics. Metric is a mathematical number that shows a relationship between two variables. Metrics can help in risk assessment by providing the cost of testing and are used to measure the effectiveness of testing. Testing metrics evaluate the performance of the individual as well as the team conducting test, and the results of the evaluation can be used to modify the test process. Metrics help to achieve the testing objectives like assessing software quality, assessing individual performance, and improving the test process. Metrics data collection. We provided a specific list of metrics for reference in this section. We will share a separate presentation on metrics shortly. Metrics collected during test preparation phase are: 1. Number of test conditions identified and documented, both by criticality and priority wise. 2. How many tests are required to exercise these test conditions. And 3. Total number of tests to be built for manual and automation execution. Whereas metrics collected during test execution phase are: 1. How many tests have been executed to date. 2. How many tests have passed or failed. 3. Which part of the application have more severity defects. 4. Number of defects are reopened. 5. Defect age, that is number of days taken to correct defects. And 6. Resource utilization during execution phase. With this, we conclude our today's topic, test execution. We will again connect with you very soon. Thank you for watching our channel.